Today on Big Screen Tony, we flash back to Shorebreak's interview with Sam Stinnett. Hold on tight.
Yeah, my name's Samuel Nathan Stinnett. I'm from South Laguna in California, and I've been skimboarding since I was 5 years old. Makes that 16 years, and it's going strong.
Do you remember how you were first kind of introduced to the sport?
Yeah, I remember going down to 9th Street one day with my brothers and stuff, and my brother's friend had a skimboard, and Jake started trying it out, and of course I'm trying to do whatever my brother's doing at that age, so decided to try it out, and it was too heavy for me to hold because it was an old school Victoria Woody. It's about like 50 pounds, 40 pounds or so. And yeah, Jake would have to throw it down for me, and that was the first time I skimmed right there.
So when you first started skimming, trying to tell the younger guys, trying to encourage them to that not everyone starts out as good as they are.
Right.
So you say, how long did it take you before you got your first real liner?
Yeah, it was my first wrap barrel. Actually, I was at Thalia, and I was with all my brothers and everyone, and just all stoked like I think any Grom would do. And yeah, it was probably about like almost a year before I got my first wrap barrel. It was my first legitimate wrap barrel, and I was the most stoked kid on this planet. I couldn't believe it.
When you first what other board sports do you practice other than skateboarding?
Just mostly skateboarding and surfing for sure. I go snowboarding every once in a while, maybe like once or twice a year, but kind of got old. I kept hurting my tailbone and just coming back hurt, so I kind of stayed away from that sport for a little bit. But yeah, just any sport I can get my hands on, really. Just anything, any board sport helps out for sure.
One thing. Let's make sure this wire doesn't peek out too much.
Okay.
Wrap it around the hat.
Cool.
Perfect. So, when you were growing up, was there somebody you looked up to?
It wasn't a specific one, I'd say. I'd say I looked up to like a huge group of people, especially like Brandon Sears, Cody Lopez, and Brandon Stevens, aka Noogie. Yeah, and of course Bill Bryan. Like growing up with those guys my whole life, coming over for Taco Tuesdays, and kind of just getting to know each other throughout my whole life. I definitely looked up to every one of those guys, and they showed me the way.
Seems like you have like a really interesting relationship with skimboarding that most people don't get.
Okay.
You started at a really young age.
Right.
And you're surrounded by all your friends and family every day.
Right.
How does that make you feel, like being around that community, having that community support?
It's awesome, man. I mean, I look at every other sport, and there's always those top like 12 guys, 15 guys are just the best in the world. So they all get to know each other, and skimboarding is totally different. Skimboarding is such a small community that you get to know everyone. Like whether you don't meet them on one trip, you'll see them on the next, and sooner or later you'll be hanging out with them more than you would ever expect. And yeah, it just all comes together as like a family, and once you get to know them, you'll never forget them, they'll never forget you. And yeah, it's awesome. It's just a tight little skimboarding family.
Do you feel that like your brothers and like the family really helped you to progress as fast as you did when you were so young?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, when I was really little, I'd go on trips to like Cabo and stuff when I was like 9 years old, 8 years old, and first couple of years my parents would come with me, and then they kind of stopped. So I just would beg, and luckily Aaron Peluso was nice enough to take me under his wing and take me on those trips at such a young age. And just being able to travel with my brothers, that was a huge plus for me, and just being able to like feel like home and feel safe. And yeah, it was awesome. Family definitely helped me out.
What I've gathered and got from you guys is, there's like all the stacks and stacks of footage of you and your brothers, and it wasn't about stacking footage for making films.
Right.
It was stacking footage for watching it,
right,
doing it to get better.
Exactly.
It seems like you do a ton of homework.
Yeah.
Because you're watching what you're doing, analyzing. Do you think that videos really helped you to get better?
Yeah, I mean, we'd always expect that we'd get all this footage and produce it and turn it into a sick movie, but it's just we would film every day, and it would just keep stacking up and stacking up and stacking up to where it kind of got to that point where we would just film ourselves and bring it up and get some dinner and yeah, just watch the footage and just remind us what we can do differently. And yeah, it's whatever we can learn from it is pretty much how it was.
Do you feel that there was ever like you have like there's all these like memorable moments that everyone remembers, like when you first charged the wedge, like
Right.
the first two others, stuff like that. Is there anything in particular that sticks mostly on you that you remember as a real pivotal moment on when you knew you really could do this?
Yeah, I mean, right when I like started hitting puberty, to tell you the truth, I kind of realized like it's time to start charging more. And one morning I went to wedge and it was pretty good size. I was still probably 4'6" at this time. 4'7" was a really small guy. And yeah, I came up this morning and Bill Bryan was with me and he goes, "Hey man, I want you to go on the first big wave you see. I don't care how big it is. You go on it. If you make it, you make it. If you don't, you don't. And then you'll know how. That's the worst you'll get. The worst speeding you'll get throughout the whole session." So of course I was scared out of my mind. I'm a little grom. I got wedge when it's like 8 foot, 9 foot, and yeah, I took his advice and just charged one and ended up making it through the meaty section, and then a sponger dropped or fell from the roof, hit me down, and got super beat. But I just knew, like Bill was right. Like right after that, I knew that was the worst beating I could get that day. So. And that was kind of like a pivotal moment in my career because I just started going for bigger waves ever since that one morning, that one session.
And that was like, that still was like one of the biggest, you still remember as being worth more than ever done that.
No, it's just for that day, like at that.
Right, at that age.
Yeah, at that age, right.
No, but that's huge.
Yeah.
It's like something that, it sticks with you and it helps you really know. You're like, well, like this is something that I can really
Well, your body can go through it, and once you get that one insane beating that you have to lay on your back on the slope for 10 minutes, you realize that's probably the worst you can get.
A lot of people I've noticed they struggle with competition.
Right.
You seem to not have that issue. You really have this high level of focus, and it seems like you do you want to talk about the differences between free skimming and competition skimming and how you deal with that, letting your free skim come into the competition?
Right.
Like you have like this, you don't really plan what you're doing, you kind of feel it out.
Yeah, when I'm free skimming, it's just going out there with your friends and trying to just push each other and have fun while you're doing it and see what new things you can learn and see who can push the sport, and when it gets into competition, it's all that fun, and all those hours of free skimming just in a way comes down to the 10-minute heat. And like once you get that and you realize how important that those 10 minutes are, and every second of those 10 minutes you get to this point where that like I shouldn't run for that certain wave because I don't need that score. I need a bigger score, and all these little things come into play. And yeah, I think I just grew up in competition, so I just started to learn and made so many mistakes over the past years. I know which ones not to make anymore, and yeah, man, it's just all about those 10 minutes in my eyes. You show up, blow up, and see what happens, and just wait for the outcome.
It seems like right when every heat starts, you always rapid fire. You go for something big, right?
Yeah. You gotta go for it at 100% the whole entire heat. You come up and you can't catch your breath, but you see a perfect wave coming in. You want that perfect wave because that wave could be the deciding wave, and your opponent can get in, and that's easy as that. You're out, and just every little choice you make in a heat can change the whole outcome.
For advice to younger kids, I mean, do you really wave count? Do you do all that? Do you focus on that, the numbers, or do you really just let yourself know that you need to do this much and this much time?
A little bit, like when you're going through the heat, you can kind of tell, like, okay, like that could be definitely a keeper score, and that could be one of your top 3 scorers, and from that point, you're always just trying to build off that, and like the surfers always say, you got to start building a house, and like once you get that one wave in, and it's kind of just the structure of the whole heat, and kind of sets the tone for what you need to do or what your opponents need to do, and yeah, once you get that one score, you just try to better it and better and better it until the heat's over.
Did you ever imagine how much international competition you would be in when you were younger?
Definitely not. Yeah, it was back in the day. It was just Cabo, and I think the first year, they went to France. France was the first other international contest besides Cabo on the U9 Skim Tour. I loved it. Like right away, the first year France was all time, Hossegor, south of France. And then when I heard the next year they're going to Portugal, I was you can't give blame, you can't get bummed on that. So yeah, and then the third like time they switched it was to Brazil, Sanunga, and I think everyone knows now that's just stapled to the wall. That contest is just insanely perfect, and everything just comes together at the right time, and you can just see people get the most insane waves right in front of you with 1,000 people on the beach cheering, and it's awesome. It's epic.
Would you, could you help describe what insane?
Yeah, I mean, like in Laguna, there's so many different waves, and they're all backside siders mostly, besides maybe a couple, and they rarely work. But and each wave is different. You know, Lisa's more powerful, and it kind of just gives you that big push. And wedge is wedge. It's just a perfect machine, you know. And then you got the little Westry, little Wedge's speedy brother, quote from Cody Lopez. And yeah, I got 10th Street. 10th Street is just one of a kind, you know. It always changes too on different swells, but Sanunga, when it works, and depending on the tide, like one section will be perfect at some times, and then it'll get lower, and then the second section would be perfect, and then you get even lower than that. The third section would be perfect, and all day it just reels and reels and reels, and we just sit there and watch it, just kicking back, drinking a beer, just mesmerized. This place is just insane. Like, you sit there all day long, and you will never leave the beach.
I was surprised, like probably 60 hours of filming felt like nothing. It was
Right.
like, just like watching it was just like
Yeah,
insane.
yeah.
I can't even imagine being on, like, you know, going out there and hitting it. It's just, I
Right.
think that that this whole year, you know, like coming back through the whole Turk kit again and doing, you know, like you didn't necessarily, you know, like win Sanunga like you did the year before, but you know, it's like you like almost like lost the battle, but you won the war.
Right.
Was there like was there something that you specifically did, like, you know, to keep yourself healthy? Did you run? Was there something that you did during the year that kind of helped you stay focused, or was it just kind of keep your routine?
You know, I mean, I came into this year just, of course, I wanted my title back, you know, but like after losing to Austin last year, it definitely made me more humble and realize, you know, it's not that big of a deal, you know, and kind of just opened my eyes and made me want to just enjoy myself more, you know, and just hang out with my friends and go skim with them, go surf, skate. You know, I joined a little men's league soccer that's every Sunday. That helped out a lot with my legs and keeping me in shape. And yeah, I kind of just aimed for the fun route this year. You know, I kind of just went in, just smiles, and hopefully came out with a smile, and you know, and it paid off, and had fun doing it.
You actually go and see every competition.
Right.
You know, they're all very similar, but they're all different.
Very.
It's very interesting to see how you have to deal with rule changes and like different types of judging.
Right.
You know, this contest is all about the wave and the barrel. In this contest, I'm going to have to do a crazy 2 airs, and a couple shoves, and then maybe get 1 barrel.
Right.
And then that's a perfect game.
Right.
So it was really impressive. It's awesome to watch you kind of just. I can kind of see how you were thinking after a while, like how you would hit the waves, and how you'd be like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
just 1 more, wait, pace a second,
Yeah.
a couple seconds. Do you have any advice to the younger kids coming up that feel like they need to win, they need to do well, they need to make a big video, they need to go pro, they need to get sponsored, you know, and they're all, it seems like a lot of the younger kids obsess over it.
Right.
You know, you didn't obsess over it when you were younger.
Yeah.
Something that just kind of came on.
Yeah.
And is there any, you know, maybe advice that you can have on like letting it, you know, just kind of say like having fun,
Right.
enjoying it, not kind of stressing on getting the sponsors, you know, like do you call like sector in them, or do you kind of just meet some guy on the beach and shake their hand and you're like, oh,
Right.
this could work, this would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, I'd say definitely for the Groms growing up, and all the kids are just getting introduced to the sport and trying to, you know, improve their skills and trying to improve their whole skimboarding outlook. Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, I'd just like to tell them, like, growing up, I never really thought about going pro until Paulo told me one day. He goes, "Hey man, I think you're ready." He's like, I was like, "What, really?" Like, no. And he's like, then I kind of started thinking about it right there, you know, and it kind of just happened, and I had to do it at the Victoria contest. It's my home contest, you know, and so yeah, and I just went into it like, you know, of course I was nervous and freaked out, but you know, I had a smile doing it the whole time, and yeah, I mean, I just try to enjoy yourself. You know, there's no time to waste in the sport, and all the trips you're on, when it's only a 5-day trip to the East Coast or a week trip to Brazil, you know, there's no time to be angry or get mad at yourself or be bummed at yourself, you know, like, yeah, you give yourself 30 minutes to go get bummed out after losing a heat, you know, but after that, just, you know, see what you can do differently next time and learn from it, and just try to enjoy. So that's what I try to do. I just try to enjoy myself as hard as I can, even though sometimes I can't, you know. So stressed out at contests and all you can do is think about the next heat, and you're not really enjoying yourself. But after being in the sport and being pro for so long, it's all about just enjoying and having fun and going out there and showing people what you can do. It's plain and simple.
How is it seeing like these little, like the younger kids coming up, seeing like these little kids? Does it kind of remind you a little bit about yourself?
I think they're better, man. All the little kids I see, like Nolan Rogers, and all the kids are a little older than him, like Jack Crazy Legs and all those kids, and they're so young, and they're just already they're already doing air entries, backing off the connections when we are still struggling on that today, and he's 12 years old, 11 years old doing it, and it's crazy. I mean, just watching how their minds like learn from us, and like, because as a Grom, I would always try to learn from the pros that were older than me, and now they're doing it to me, and it's so weird how time passes by. And I like to see how they're trying to do all the new stuff, like, they're not just trying to do the simple wrap barrel, or they're trying to do airs, they're trying to do frontside 360s, which is still a really, really hard trick for any professional, and yeah, it's crazy.
Looking towards the future, it seems like you really do a lot to put skimboarding out there, like housing athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting, and it seems like there's a couple different avenues for there's different skimmers pushing the sport in their own way. Is there anything that you see that's happening right now that's really been pivotal, that's big, or do you see like more to come in the future? Do you kind of want it to kind of stay the same, or do you want to see more?
Of course I want it to get big, and like, I mean, any professional skimboarder would love for it to get big, because it's simply too hard for some guys, and they can't make it to every contest. They have work, they have to make rent, they have to pay some bills, and there's only a like select few that can actually go and do all of it. And yeah, I would like skimboarding to get big as surfing. It would be awesome to become $1 billion industry, and I don't care if it takes 30 years. Like, I'll wait. I don't care, I'm still having fun right now, and yeah, we'll see what happens, but I'll be here.
Somebody charging Jaws.
Yeah, like Donkey. Oh, can we talk about Donkey real quick?
Yeah, please.
Jesus. I grew up with that kid my whole life, and he's always telling me, he's like, I'm never gonna work a day in my whole life. Like, that was his goal, and we're always like kind of worried about that. Like, okay, like, go have your fun now, Donkey, but no, he showed us up. He showed everyone up. That guy goes to Pasquale's and puts out a little edit, and at the time was an insane edit. And we're all watching in Brazil with our minds blown for a week straight. And then, a couple months later, half a year later, he goes back to Puerto Escondido and gets an XXL award on a skimboard. Probably the biggest wave that was ridden that day. And there's gnarly guys out there. Shane Dorian, there's some crazy guys out there, and he's out there in trunks on a skimboard.
You never know when that wave's gonna come in.
Yeah.
And so they're just like, yeah, you can go out there, and like they're like, what, dude? You better go.
Yeah. Donkey told me that morning he woke up from like partying the night before, and he just like saw how firing it was. He said he just paddled out there and like was sitting out there and saw Shane Dorian, like a whole group of guys going with their wetsuits paddling from the bay, so it's just an easier way to get out, and he's out there on a skimboard just frolicking around, and like just blows my mind. And now he just got back from Australia. He's been staying at my house for the past like 3 days, and he's just been telling me the craziest stories. It's the land of crazy guys. They're charging waves that only a few guys would ever go for. Like the slabs, the pictures and footage that he showed me, it's so insane that of course there's guys on surfboards doing it, and they've been doing it for a long time, but I'm sure they're all tripping out too. That Donkey's on a skimboard that's 3 pounds, no fins, and just all he's doing is using his rail. It just blows my mind. I hope it blows everyone else's mind too, because it absolutely should.
How was it seeing Jamie trying to do it?
You could tell that he definitely has the skills for it. He's so used to fins, and like, yeah, he's so like not used to using just all rail, the whole rail game. And Donkey is the one who made that happen. Donkey forced him and started trying to get him in there, and yeah, he got a couple waves. You can just tell he's a little sliding out here and there, but yeah, it was cool seeing Jamie get some fun on a skimboard.
Is there anything else you want to add, buddy?
I just want to thank all the filmers and sponsors and everything that has to do with skimboarding right now. All the skimboard manufacturing companies, any company that ever has supported skimboarding in the past. It's been such a journey, and it's been epic. And of course, all the sponsors sponsor me right now. Can't leave that one out.
Yeah, right. The happiness.
Yeah. And of course, my family, my mom and dad, my brothers, for filming me and traveling with me all these years. It's been epic. I don't no regrets at all.
Seems like when you're in a competition in a heat, Jake's always like 8 feet behind you.
Right.
Right there.
Yeah.
Sometimes he even comes up and talks to you like during the heat.
Yeah.
And if someone else tried to come and talk to you during the heat, you'd be like, go away.
Yeah.
Like it's like, and it seems like you got like the sniper and the spotter.
Right.
You got the it's like you can see things that you can't necessarily see, but at the same time it lets you relax.
Yeah.
Is it cool having
No, definitely. It's me and him work together. We always try to work together in heats, and pretty much all we're doing is, if I look over and I see Jake and he's kind of struggling in his heat, he's freaking out. He really thinks he needs a score, but actually his opponents haven't really done anything either. So he's freaking out for no reason. I always just go up to him and be like, "Hey man, chill out. You got this. There's no one got a good score yet. You're still in this. Just relax. Go, hang out, and then make sure you get a front side while you're there. There's always those little things like that, and definitely helps out. I always look back to see if I need to chill, if I need one more score, and he always kind of gives me like little thumbs and thumbs down kind of thing to see how I'm doing during the heat, and yeah, it helps out a lot.
Yeah, and it's like, the same thing for you. When he's competing, you're never out somewhere else. You're
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing. It's just so cool to see you guys doing that.
Sick.
But yeah, if there's anything you want to add, buddy, that was epic.
I think that's it.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Can you